You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Shots fired near the Coast Guard base. CBS News Bay Area was there as gunfire erupts. And what we've just learned as several people were struck. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. The FBI is now investigating. It all happened after a day of protests over the deployment of federal agents here to the Bay Area. President Trump called off the planned immigration surge here in the Bay Area this weekend, and Trump posted this after talking to San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie Wednesday night. He said, quote, "He asked very nicely that I give him a chance to see if he can turn it around. I told him I think he is making a big mistake because we can do it much faster, but let's see how you do."
Got a great call from some incredible people, some friends of mine, very successful people, and others called me from San Francisco. And they said, we're working really, really hard with the mayor. They're working very well with the police department. They're doing a good job. So we are holding off that surge.
Those very successful people Trump mentioned refers to two of the Bay Area's most prominent billionaires, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang and Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff. Benioff has faced some heat the last few weeks after comments supporting National Guard troops in San Francisco, comments he later walked back at Dreamforce amid public backlash. Huang, on the other hand, has praised President Trump's backing of artificial intelligence, but has stayed mostly quiet on politics. NVIDIA has not commented on his role in Trump's decision to call out the federal operation. Political science professor Caroline Heldman told me the president's reversal shows how personal appeals can shape his decisions.
What just happened in San Francisco really exposes the fact that it's just not about law and order. It's about who has what clout. It's about maybe market cap. It doesn't speak well for democracy when you have big tech having this much sway with the president. But for the people of San Francisco, thank goodness, big tech has this sway, because now you don't have troops in your city.
Well, ever since the election, a number of tech CEOs have been courting the president's favor. Apple, Google, Meta, and Amazon have all contributed to his inauguration fund. And back to President Trump's phone call with San Francisco Mayor Lurie. The mayor revealed that Trump was the one to call him. He says he didn't ask for anything in return, but Lurie did say the city will be working in partnership with the Justice Department to get drugs off the streets.
I also spoke this morning to Attorney General Pam Bondi. She echoed her willingness to partner with our local law enforcement to combat fentanyl and hold drug traffickers accountable.
Our nation's history.
Pam Bondi did confirm that she would be meeting with Lurie in a few weeks. The mayor has also reaffirmed his support for the immigrant community and said the city is prepared in case President Trump changes his mind. In the meantime, some San Francisco supervisors announced an additional $3.5 million for immigration aid. The money will go to legal defense, education, and rapid response line. This is on top of the nearly $10.5 million of funding already available.
We also cannot afford to continue to be unprepared. As we see the massive escalation of ICE enforcement activities.
While the money is for San Francisco, supervisors say it's also available for Bay Area residents who don't live in the city. Okay, back to the agents at the Coast Guard Alameda. Lots of protesters are using the term ICE, or Immigration and Custom Enforcement, to describe the agents. To be clear, these are not ICE agents. These are U.S. Border Patrol agents. So what's the difference? ICE typically handles immigration enforcement inside the U.S., including arrest and deportation cases. Border Patrol focuses on preventing illegal crossings and smuggling at or near the nation's borders. Both agencies fall under the Department of Homeland Security, but play very different roles in the immigration enforcement. So back to our top story. We saw that gunfire erupt last night as the agents opened fire on that U-Haul van. Let's get back out to Veronica Macias at the Alameda Coast Guard Island. So Veronica, what are you seeing over there right now? I can hear a lot of noise and a lot of honking right now.
Good morning, Ryan. Well, protesters are back here at the entrance of Coast Guard Base Alameda. The FBI has cleared the scene, so protesters have returned to this intersection where they were last night and where you had that eruption of gunfire from the Coast Guard. We're learning this morning from the Department of Homeland Security that the driver of the U-Haul and a bystander are expected to be okay. The driver, we're learning, was struck in the stomach and is being treated and also detained for a mental health evaluation. Meanwhile, a bystander was struck by fragments, has been treated, but released from a Bay Area hospital. Now, let's go ahead and show you the chaos that unfolded here at about 10 p.m. with the driver of that U-Haul. That truck had been here all day. He was blasting music. He may not have heard protesters urging him to stop. Tensions building up as the U-Haul truck is seen reversing towards the base of the entrance and law enforcement yelling commands to stop before firing their weapons at the vehicle. And you could hear the dozens of rounds going off. The driver then sitting in the truck, idling before driving off. Our chief photographer, Rick Villaroman, was here last night. He had been here throughout the day covering the protest, says in all of the 25 years that he's been working for this station, he's never come so close to gunfire. Out here live, I could tell you that the scene does look a little bit different. When you look at the bridge, you can see that they have a perimeter now set up. The Coast Guard members do. That wasn't here yesterday, so they have created the new barrier here on the bridge. Of course, these protesters seem to be unswayed by the announcement yesterday from the mayor's office, letting them know that the deployment of federal troops had been called off. The concern I'm hearing from protesters this morning, Ryan, is what about the rest of the area, areas like Oakland, Alameda? I spoke with one mother who tells me she knows that community organizations right now are mobilizing to help the migrant community, the undocumented, by doing things like picking up groceries for people, maybe taking somebody's child to school and collecting funds to help them out financially, because there is still a lot of fear and concern that they can see immigration raids over the weekend. Of course, Mayor Lee in Oakland saying that she did not receive a call from the president herself like the mayor from San Francisco did yesterday. So there is still concern that they can see mass raids, a surge in other parts of the Bay Area. Ryan.
And Veronica, just curious, I know you're out there gathering information and talking to folks. Any reaction to what happened last night with the federal agents opening fire on that U-Haul van and the driver that was inside?
So we did talk to some protesters who were familiar faces to us. They were here yesterday and also here this morning. One woman I talked to, a young woman, she had been here throughout the night. She said she saw everything unfold. She was actually, her version of the story was a little different. She says the driver of the U-Haul was trying to play music and maybe provoke members of the Coast Guard with it. And very different from the version we're hearing from the Coast Guard and from the video we've seen, where it clearly seems like this person's motive may have been to ram their U-Haul truck over through the bridge and two Coast Guard members that were standing guard here at security. So a different version from protesters from what we've heard this morning, but we had heard that she spoke to the bystander that was injured in this. And of course, that person expected to be okay. Protesters out here seeming unswayed by everything that has happened. Of course, you had the incident that happened yesterday morning with the two flash grenades from Custom and Border Protection. But people out here don't seem to be unswayed, and they will continue to protest throughout the day, they say, despite what has happened last night and yesterday in the morning.
Okay, well, different versions, different perspectives, but you can check out that video on kpix.com for yourself, and you can make your own decisions on that. And continue to stay with us as we cover the federal immigration presence right here in the Bay Area. We'll bring you the latest updates on our air stream and on our website at kpix.com. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, the balance of power in Congress is on the ballot. Our former president is trying to tip the scales over Proposition 50. Plus, skipping meals and borrowing money, we're going to speak to a man working full-time and part-time just to feed his family.
Well, it's another dry day for us here in the Bay Area with daytime highs sitting about 6 degrees below average in places like the North Bay, with sunny skies in store for us throughout this afternoon, putting us in the 70s there. As early as tomorrow, though, the big weather story has to do with the tail end of this atmospheric river, bringing in a series of showers both Saturday and Sunday. On and off showers are on tap for us all throughout the Bay Area. We're expected to see close to around 1/4 of an inch all the way up into the North Bay, about 1/10 of an inch all the way down into the South Bay as the storm system moves from north to south throughout the Bay Area on Saturday and Sunday. We'll start to clear up on Monday with sunnier skies next week.
Well, we're less than 2 weeks away from Election Day, and voters are being asked one main question: should California temporarily redraw its congressional lines? Proposition 50 asks voters to approve this Democratic-backed map targeting 5 Republican-held districts, mostly in Northern California and the Central Valley. The measure is in direct response to the redistricting in Texas. Maps under Prop 50 would stay in place for the next 3 elections. Through Election Day, the campaigns are kicking into overdrive. We've seen the governor rally union workers in support of Prop 50 and Republicans on the East Bay on a bus tour against the ballot measure. Our Kelsey Thor checked on the state of both campaigns.
With less than 2 weeks until Election Day, organizers on both sides of the Prop 50 battle are hitting the Bay Area hard, making their final pitches to voters.
It's about all 50 states. It's about our democracy. It's about our republic.
Governor Gavin Newsom ran into a crowd of hundreds at a Yes on 50 event in San Jose, trying to pump people up to get out the vote. He is calling Prop 50 a necessary step towards curbing President Trump's power.
Prop 50 is our reaction to this authoritarianism that's going on. These attacks, these assaults, this guy is wrecking this country. He's wrecked the economy.
Just up the bay in Fremont, State Assembly member Carl DeMaio from San Diego worked a crowd of No on 50 supporters, calling on them to canvass their local communities.
Even here in the Bay Area, where you feel as though maybe your opinion is different than the majority, it's not. It's actually consistent on a lot of issues. I need you to get active and vocal in the next 2 weeks because we have so much on the line.
Assemblyman DeMaio is currently on a 72-stop bus tour across the state to rally support against Prop 50. He says the measure would essentially rig elections for Democrats, hurting Californians more than Trump.
Now, they hate Trump, so they think, well, I hate Trump, so let me do something bad to hurt Trump. You're not hurting Trump. You're hurting millions of Californians who will be silenced because they will be basically put into districts and shouted down.
CBS's latest polling shows 62% of likely voters plan to vote yes on Prop 50. Supporters are using that momentum to try and close this race out.
SEIU 2015 members have made over 400,000 phone calls across the state of California and have contributed over 40,000 hours because we know that Prop 50 is a stepping stone towards justice and restoring our democracy.
But those who oppose Prop 50 aren't giving up hope, saying they plan to mobilize their supporters until the last ballots are cast.
We're still in the game. We still have time. I'm going to do my best to make whatever happens. But I don't listen to that. Like if we were down like by 50, okay, that's a different story. But, we're still in it. I feel like we're still in it, and I'm going to do my part.
And both sides are also leaning on big political names to boost their campaigns. Former President Barack Obama is backing Proposition 50, while former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger appears in ads opposing it. And the ongoing government shutdown will extend into next week as the Senate leaves town for the weekend without a deal to reopen the government. The shutdown has lasted 24 days so far, threatening food benefits for millions of Americans. And it's also delaying the release of a key report on hunger. The USDA has posted an annual household food security report for nearly 30 years, documenting Americans' access to food. This regional and demographic data helps nonprofits like food banks determine how and where they distribute resources. But now, the Trump administration is scrapping the survey, claiming the data is redundant.
It was one more waste of taxpayer dollars not being used appropriately. There are many, many other surveys collecting that data.
It really helps us understand trends, how things are moving in food insecurity, as well as if specific populations are becoming more vulnerable. Food insecurity will continue to be a problem whether we publish data on it or not.
The USDA told CBS News that going forward, it will rely on other vendors who can provide, quote, less subjective data on food insecurity. Mayors from more than 1,000 cities are calling on the Agricultural Department to use its emergency funds to ensure food benefit payments will go out next month amid the shutdown. Those SNAP payments could be delayed if Congress does not act soon. The USDA has $5 billion in SNAP contingency funds. In a letter sent to the USDA, the mayors warned if benefits stop, food insecurity would increase and add strain on city budgets. Here in California, 5.5 million people receive SNAP benefits, or CalFresh, as it's known here. Our Katie Nielsen spoke to one recipient who is worried about how he'll put food on the table.
This man didn't want to give us his name, but said he's working full-time and drives Uber on the side. But it's still not enough to make ends meet.
$296 doesn't get you very far when you're feeding a couple of people, you know?
He says that $296 is for himself, another adult, and 2 children. And without it, they'll have to make some tough decisions.
Either skipping meals or borrowing money or hoping that, you know, more money comes through.
He says he feels lucky he can drive Uber to help make up the difference, but he's frustrated, saying it's not fair political gamesmanship is impacting real families.
What can you do? You know, what can you do?
We are absolutely on the precipice of a hunger emergency.
Allison Pratt with the Alameda County Community Food Bank says their organization and other food banks will see a surge in people needing help if the benefits are delayed.
SNAP is really our nation's first defense against hunger, right? So am I going to pay my rent or am I going to buy groceries this month? Like, these are the decisions that people are going to be forced to make.
And for families already living paycheck to paycheck, recovering from a financial setback isn't easy.
The impact's going to be for a long time here, you know? I don't think that we're going to recover anytime soon.
And new data shows California's child poverty rate is the 4th highest in the country, according to the Annie Casey Foundation. It was 18.6% last year. That's triple the rate from 2021. Child health experts say that number could go even higher next year as more families lose the child tax credit. Still ahead, Dub Nation coming out in full force for the Warriors' home opener win. We're going to speak to a super fan in yellow and blue, look at him, who has some fans of his own.
Never give up, baby.
Nevada into this afternoon as we start to see sunnier skies. We'll see 70s on tap for us, 60s in places like Oakland and San Francisco. It's going to be a beautiful day right around the corner. Let's talk about some other changes happening for us as we head outside. Diving into this weekend's forecast, we have some rain pushing in from the north. This could bring pretty impressive rainfall totals right around the corner. We're talking anywhere up to around 1/2 inch of rain. Let's actually zoom all the way into that number right there, up into the North Bay. So just past Marin, up into Sonoma and Napa. But let's zoom out fast. I want to show you what's happening as we head a little bit more south. Let's zoom out all the way down into the South Bay, where we're talking about a 1/4 of an inch to around 1/10 of an inch of rain. That becomes less impressive as that storm system moves from north to south, and it starts to dry up pretty fast as it continues to track all the way down into the Central Valley too, or the Central Coast, I should say. So lots of changes as we dive into this weekend. It will be a pretty impressive system when it comes to the North Bay. We're going to see cooler temperatures, rainy skies on and off as we head into Saturday and Sunday. By Monday of next week, that's when we start to dry up, and that's when we start that warm up too. Mid-70s right around the corner as early as next Wednesday for our friends along the bay. You make your way over into our inland spots. Now we're talking about daytime highs even warmer as we head into mid next week. Still dealing with on and off showers. Like I said, the most impressive rainfall totals will be up in the North Bay. As that storm system moves from north to south Saturday and Sunday, we'll see less impressive rainfall totals down in the South Bay, closer to around 1/10 of an inch. But hey, rain is rain. At least we're getting some here in the Bay Area. For now, back to you.
Well, the Warriors are on the road to take on the Trailblazers in Portland tonight. Tip-off is at 7. The Dubs put on quite the show last night for their home opener. Steph Curry is shining as bright as ever. He scored 42 points to lead the Warriors to 137-131 win over the Nuggets. In the meantime, our Laureen Ayub caught up with a diehard fan who had no doubt the Dubs would pull it off.
It's the happiest day of the year for Warrior fans across the Bay Area. Basketball is back. And as the Warriors open their season with a win on home turf against the Denver Nuggets, one passionate fan showed up in his signature home opener suit, ready to celebrate a new beginning.
The fans and the players and the coach and the management, it's a real team effort. And we are here to show the world that we are one of the best put together ball clubs in the NBA.
As the Dubs left fans on the edge of their seats, Thomas Haw drew in fans of his own, rocking the yellow and blue.
I feel like I am you might say, the sixth man for the club and for the team and for the city. I just feel like I'm an extension of what's important here, which is teamwork and love for each other.
It's the kind of love you can taste. The Chase Center is now offering 6 new eateries in the arena.
We listened to our fans, we looked at the industry trends, and what they were telling us is that we need more desserts. So we're at Swish and Sugar. If you want a sweet treat, this is the place to be.
The home opener ended on a sweet note, the Warriors clinching the win in overtime. Thomas had no doubts.
I think people are going to be surprised at how well we play together. And if we stay healthy, there's nothing that's going to stop us.
And nothing that can stop Thomas from dancing in his lucky suit.
So the Warriors are carrying a 2-0 record to Portland tonight. The Trailblazers are 0-1. And with basketball season starting up, the NBA has been in the spotlight, but now some of the players are getting attention for a different reason. In New York, dozens have been arrested, including an NBA player and a head coach. That head coach, the former head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, Chauncey Billups, in connection to a major sports betting investigation. And feds say all of that has ties to the mafia.
These defendants, which include former professional athletes, used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed.
Basketball Hall of Famer and current coach of the Portland Trailblazers, Chauncey Billups, was allegedly one of those celebrities to attract New York's most notorious organized crime families, known as Fish. In the meantime, sports betting has been around for ages, but prop bets are a newer way for people to get involved. So what exactly are there? CBS News correspondent Elaine Cajano explains.
Prop bets, short for proposition bets, have been part of sports gambling for nearly 40 years. But unlike traditional wagers on who wins or loses, according to DraftKings, prop bets focus on specific outcomes within a game. Things like whether a player scores a touchdown, how many rebounds they grab, or even who wins the opening coin toss. Now, the first legal prop bet dates back to the 1986 Super Bowl, when Caesars Sportsbook in Las Vegas offered fans a wager on whether Chicago Bears defensive tackle William the Refrigerator Perry would score a touchdown. What started as 20-to-1 odds drew so much interest, it sank to 2-to-1. However, when Perry did score a touchdown, sportsbooks still took a hit. But that moment helped launch a phenomenon that's now central to modern sports betting. Today, the U.S. sports betting industry brings in record numbers. Get this, $13.7 billion in revenue in 2024 alone, with legal sportsbooks handling nearly $150 billion in wagers. Now, prop bets have contributed to the industry's success, but they've also raised new concerns. Players say the explosion of prop betting has fueled verbal abuse, even death threats from angry gamblers when performance doesn't match expectations. Among other accusations, federal investigators say Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier allegedly told members of a betting ring that he'd leave a game early, effectively guaranteeing his prop bet stats would fall short. Now, Rozier's lawyer sent CBS News a statement which denied wrongdoing by Rozier and read in part, Terry is not a gambler, but he is not afraid of a fight, and he looks forward to winning this fight.
And the NBA says it's cooperating with authorities. Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups have been placed on leave from their teams. CBS News reached out to Damon Jones, but has not heard back. Coming up in our next half hour in CBS News Bay Area, even though the immigration surge has been called off, local leaders are still on alert. How a nonprofit is locking up to protect from potential raids.
your community, your news, powered by KPIX. CBS News Bay Area. Watch anywhere, anytime. Stay informed and connected. Trusted local news when you want it. CBS News Bay Area. Watch free on any device. You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, thanks for staying with us. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. Here's another look at our news headlines. Well, the FBI is investigating this shooting near the Coast Guard base in Alameda where 3 people were injured. It happened as a U-Haul truck backed up toward security last night. Homeland Security says the driver tried to weaponize the U-Haul and refuse orders to stop. The feds say 2 civilians were injured. They're expected to survive. The driver was injured and in the stomach and is being held for a mental health evaluation. This all comes after a day of protests over the deployment of federal agents right here in the Bay Area. Long lines at the check-in for the Alaska Airlines at SFO today after multiple flights were either delayed or canceled. A brief IT outage forced the company to ground its entire fleet temporarily last night. In a statement, Alaska Airlines said the ground stop for all Alaska Horizon flights was lifted at 11:30 p.m. It lasted approximately 8 hours. The airline did not immediately say what caused the outage. And we're learning more about former NFL player Doug Martin's struggles with mental health in the months before his death. The Chronicle reports in August, Martin was placed on an involuntary psychiatric hold after he jumped out of a second-story window at a rehab center in Castro Valley. Last weekend, Martin allegedly broke into a neighbor's home in Oakland. Police who detained him said he had some sort of a medical emergency. Martin later died at the hospital. Okay, let's get another check of our first alert forecast with meteorologist Jessica Burt to see how the weekend is shaping up.
Well, it's another beautiful day for us here in the Bay Area. It's Friday and we're gearing up for 70s in our inland spots like Antioch and Livermore, 60s in Fremont, which pretty much matches up with our friends over into San Francisco and Oakland, and 70s all the way down into San Jose. Let's take a quick look at what we're expecting as we dive into this weekend. We have on and off showers on tap for us here in the Bay Area as we dive into this weekend. Head up to the North Bay real fast. Chase, I want you to zoom all the way into these numbers. We're expecting close to around 1/10 of an inch in places like Santa Rosa, all the way over into Napa, and we're monitoring those numbers closely. Let's zoom out because as you head all the way down into the South Bay, we're expected to see less impressive rainfall totals here in the Bay as that system moves from north to south Saturday and Sunday. So on and off showers are on tap for us. This is what it's looking like as we advance the clock on Saturday. Mostly cloudy skies, gusty winds pushing in from the northwest. Here we go all the way into Saturday evening, early Sunday morning. The showers really holding on tight to our friends up in Napa and Sonoma. They'll start to trickle down into the South Bay before we start to clear up Sunday night into early Monday morning. So rainfall totals, we're keeping a close eye on them. Some models are showing more impressive numbers, but regardless, we are still expected to see at max anywhere up to around 1/10 of an inch of rain, up to around 1/4 of an inch up in the North Bay. Less impressive numbers down south, and we're monitoring that closely as that atmospheric river starts to sweep throughout the Bay Area. It's the tail end of the system, though, really. It really impacted the Pacific Northwest. We're getting the leftover showers Saturday and Sunday. It starts to clear up on Monday, and then we get a nice warm up into next week all throughout the Bay Area. You just saw our inland forecast right there. We make our way over into the Bay. We'll get that nice midweek warm up too. Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Talking about sunny skies and mid-70s right around the corner. A big contrast compared to this cool and wet weekend ahead of us. Keep that in mind as you head outside and do any outdoor activities. We'll keep you updated here in the Weather Center.
Well, protesters are back out at the Coast Guard base in Alameda today after several people were struck by gunfire during a shooting last night. People gathered outside still concerned ICE agents would make their way to Alameda as the Department of Homeland Security responded to shots fired last night. Excuse me. The driver of the U-Haul bystander are expected to be okay. The driver was struck in the stomach and is being held for a mental health evaluation. This all comes after a day of protests over the deployment of federal agents right here in the Bay Area. And protesters still gathered last night, even as Mayor Daniel Lurie assured residents that the federal agent surge was called off, with many worrying about how long that will last. Andrea Nakano spoke to those gathered at Embarcadero Plaza.
A crowd of roughly 2,000 people gathered at the Embarcadero Plaza for a peaceful protest Thursday night.
It was very refreshing. It's a break from all the hate that you see nowadays.
Avante was there with his girlfriend as they worry about family and friends being impacted by immigration raids. While they're glad to hear plans for a federal deployment to San Francisco have been called off for now, they wonder for how long.
It's threatening because you never know what he's going to say, and also like whether or not he's going to take back on what he says.
Local supervisors and community leaders spoke at the rally, including California labor leader David Huerta.
That we will not cooperate with them.
Huerta was arrested and charged after a clash with federal agents in June outside a business in Los Angeles where agents were investigating possible immigration violations. He says this is not the time to give up the fight for immigration rights.
I think it's important to recognize the victory that was had here right now at this moment. And we should not let up until which time everybody in the Bay Area is safe.
The announcement to pull back on the president's plan came on the same day Customs and Border Protection agents were scheduled to arrive at Coast Guard Island in Alameda. The scene there grew tense once flashbangs and smoke grenades were set off to break up the crowd. A local pastor, covered in powder after appearing to be shot with something at point-blank range, spoke to reporters shortly after the incident.
It is our responsibility to express love and be on the side of peace and to make sure that no families are being harassed and threatened with their lives.
CHP officers in riot gear were also on the scene to try to clear protesters from blocking the road. While the protest in San Francisco was nothing like the one in Alameda, Avante says people are uniting to fight the president's policies.
It shows that the people are willing to fight and that we're not going to back down. He can't control everybody. He can only try, but he's not going to succeed.
As we mentioned earlier, President Trump credited NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang and Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff with convincing him to hold off the deployment of federal troops. And while a lot of people were praising them and Lurie for playing the role in stopping the feds from coming, San Francisco Supervisor Jackie Fielder was not one of them. This is what she said to protesters yesterday afternoon.
We are not letting up. We are not being quiet. We are staying vigilant, and we are staying organized. You have that promise from me. And while I'm here, I'll just say, Mark Benioff.
Well, she had a similar message for other tech leaders and billionaires like Elon Musk and David Sachs. Meanwhile, we saw protests in other parts of the Bay through Oakland and San Jose. It wasn't immediately clear after Lurie and Trump's announcement if the federal surge could end up in other parts of the Bay. Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee says she has not heard from the White House about the existence of any plan for her city.
We know that Border Patrol agents are being stationed on Coast Guard Island. But let me be clear, our city, as I said, we are fully prepared. We're monitoring developments closely and will keep our residents informed if there are any confirmed changes.
Well, leaders in San Jose are doing the same. Len Ramirez spoke to leaders who say the fear and anxiety in immigrant communities are already taking a toll.
Well, despite the welcome news that the federal immigration surge had been called off, at least for now, many city, county, and community leaders are still very much on alert in case this rapidly changing situation re-escalates again. Today, many of them gathered to reaffirm their support for immigrants, regardless of their status.
Inside the small community center of Amigos de Guadalupe in East San Jose, the chant echoed through the packed room, a show of unity and defiance as community members, law enforcement, and elected officials gathered to reaffirm support for immigrants, regardless of legal status.
The White House and the Secretary of Homeland Security are pulling back the troops from the Bay Area, and they've made the right decision. Our region is on the rise. I hope desperately, and for the good of all of our residents, including our most vulnerable neighbors, that this decision holds.
The news conference was pre-planned before the surge was canceled, but the leader of the Rapid Response Network said it already sparked a wave of fear.
That sense of fear
it can be paralyzing. And so we want folks to know there's resources, from mental health to people that will shop for you, to people that will give your kids rides to school or walk them to school for you. We have that here, so reach out.
For Amigos de Guadalupe, a nonprofit known for keeping its doors open to all, the fear became overwhelming. And for the first time, the agency has locked its doors during business hours to protect its clients from possible raids.
We practice this theory of radical hospitality at Amigos. And I have to say how painful it is, as founder of this organization, to lock our doors. It is not our values, and it's not who we are, and yet we must protect our community.
County Supervisor Betty Young says Santa Clara County's long history of supporting immigrants runs deep, a history that includes her own family's story.
I'm the daughter of refugees. And when the world did not want us, San Jose took us in, Santa Clara County took us in, and we created home. So I stand committed with you, with my board of supervisors, with my fellow electeds, with my community members, to stand and safeguard those values that make our county, our city, what it is.
Community leaders are urging residents to stay informed and connected, calling the Rapid Response Network hotline whenever ICE activity is spotted. Leaders here say this moment is about more than policy. It's about creating trust and safety, and that unity, not fear, will define how Santa Clara County responds.
And CBS News immigration reporter Camille Montoya Galvez weighed in on those uncertainties. He told me what he's hearing in Washington.
Department of Homeland Security sources tell me that this Border Patrol operation has been canceled and scrapped, and that the resources and the manpower that were going to be sent to that region of the country have been redirected to other locations across the U.S.
And we'll stay on all these developments. For any updates anytime, head to kpix.com or download the free CBS News app. Up next, it's no ordinary cleanup for this father in Oakland, how he's transforming the town his daughter loved so dearly.
Well, it's another dry day for us here in the Bay Area, with daytime highs sitting about 6 degrees below average in places like the North Bay, with sunny skies in store for us throughout this afternoon, putting us in the 70s there. As early as tomorrow, though, the big weather story has to do with the tail end of this atmospheric river, bringing in a series of showers both Saturday and Sunday. On and off showers are on tap for us all throughout the Bay Area. We're expected to see close to around 1/4 of an inch all the way up into the North Bay, about 1/10 of an inch all the way down into the South Bay as the storm system moves from north to south throughout the Bay Area on Saturday and Sunday. We'll start to clear up on Monday with sunnier skies next week.
Well, a community organization is on a mission to change Oakland, one piece of trash at a time. For Donald Lacey, that pursuit is rooted in personal tragedy as well as a deep love for his city. Kevin Coe has his story.
Man, I wish I had one of these when I was a kid. It would have made my chores a lot easier. You feel me?
Donald Lacey loves Oakland.
Yeah, this is what my community is all about.
Nothing gets him more excited than giving back to his city.
We're going to come here, start here, and clean up the area.
But what the executive director of the Love Life Foundation loves more than anything else is his late daughter, Loisha Lacey, who was shot and killed in Oakland in 1997.
She wanted to start an organization to address the disturbing trend of violence among particularly young black youth. And unfortunately, she was the innocent victim to a shooting, but to God be the glory. Here we are 28 years later, carrying forth her mission and doing God's work.
That work includes picking up trash around encampments on West Grand Avenue, a small part of Love Life's mission to empower Oakland communities and at-risk youth. Diallo grew up in West Oakland and believes small actions like this lead to bigger and better outcomes.
Seeing people like Don in the community, you should get active in the community so things can change. A lot of people say and talk about change, but they never actually do anything. And little steps like picking up trash, talking to people, anything, it could help. It could go a long way.
It also goes a long way having different generations of Oaklanders.
How old is you?
I'm 32 now.
Yeah, I've been knowing him over, 25 years.
Jonte is 43. For him, giving back today is also a personal penance.
The consistent state as it is right now, we don't like it, so we you know what I mean? It started with us, so we got to give back. And, you know, we used to run in these streets, so it's just right that we clean up these streets.
That perspective is what keeps Donald Lacey going.
To hear people drive by and honk and say thank you and we appreciate you. That made it all worthwhile to be out here today.
He hopes to change the perspective of the city his daughter loved, the same way he turned his tragedy into nearly 3 decades of trying to turn the city around.
After a while, if all you see is negativity, murder, mayhem, people outside of Oakland and even people inside of Oakland think that the perception is the reality, and I begs to differ.
Well, the Love Life Foundation is hosting a week of events across the city of Oakland that includes Feeding the Unhoused, which will be held at the encampment you saw on West Grand Avenue. Well, coming up, it's a very different kind of bank, a hedge fund of sorts against the dangers of climate change. We're going to find out how one Bay Area university is home to Botanical gold. Well, San Francisco schools have introduced a pathway to make higher education more accessible. The San Francisco Unified School District is teaming up with San Francisco State and the City College of San Francisco to guarantee admission for eligible local high school and community college students. Educators say it eliminates the stress of college applications and gives students a chance to succeed inside the city.
We truly believe our students will be empowered with the confidence to stay focused in their education. Our educators will know that their efforts are going towards a future that will empower our students to remain here.
For high school students, requirements include completing the necessary classes with a C or higher and maintaining a 2.5 GPA. Meanwhile, transfer students will need a minimum 2.0 GPA and complete 60 transferable units. In today's Project Earth, a look at some of the most important banks in the world. Inside their vaults, though, you won't find piles of cash. Instead, at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll find insurance policy against climate change. One important branch is at a university right here in the Bay Area. Our very own Julia Goodrich reports.
Above the main campus at UC Berkeley, nestled in Strawberry Canyon, close to the flowering cactus and native California plants, you'll find a critically important bank. It's one that stores botanical gold.
So we have millions of seeds represented from hundreds of different species of rare and endangered plants, and they're all meticulously curated.
It's called a seed bank. This one is located at UC's Botanical Garden.
And we keep it at 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Claire Loughran is the bank's curator and conservation officer. Most of the seeds stored in the deep freeze come from plants native to the Golden State.
These plants have been here for thousands of years, and they're going extinct at an extremely high rate.
Seed banks are a way to guard against extinction and to preserve biodiversity. The stored seeds serve as an insurance policy against crop failure, catastrophic wars, and environmental disasters, including those created by climate change.
Climate change is not just extreme drought, it's also fire, it's these other kinds of catastrophes that can happen in an instant.
The largest wild seed collection is held at the Millennium Seed Bank, run by the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew.
Thank you, sir.
25 years ago, King Charles, then the Prince of Wales, opened the facility. The bank's vault is built underground and houses more than 2.5 billion seeds, including 800 duplicate seed collections from California.
The majority of our collections are within this room. All of our collections are in glass jars or foil bags to make sure they're hermetically sealed, and we're currently standing in possibly the world's most biodiverse place.
Before any seeds are banked, they need to be cleaned, dried, and tested. Some arrive buried in fruit, like these berries produced from a native dogwood in California.
And so they need to be soaked in water for several hours, and then we're going to put them in this kind of mesh bag to clean the fruits and get to the seed.
UC's Botanical Garden is a member of California Plant Rescue, a network of about a dozen seed banks in the state. The goal? To conserve the genetic diversity of California's rarest plants, in part by banking their seeds.
These seeds can be held in these seed banks for decades.
Planting the seeds of hope by providing a safeguard for the future.
In 2019, a huge fire in Australia destroyed a major habitat for a rare pea plant. Luckily, the Millennium Seed Bank had some backup seeds on ice, Some were sent to the area to help restore the rare herb. Well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories.